The water is higher than the house, not near the house, higher than it. A family eats dinner there anyway, that should be impossible. In the Netherlands, large parts of the country live with the sea as a permanent threat. Roughly a quarter of the land lies below sea level. Without dikes, dunes, pumps and storm barriers, about 60% of the country would flood regularly. That is where millions of people live. That is where most of the economy works. That is where ports, farms, roads, cities, airports and power lines keep moving as if none of this is strange at all. It is strange, because this country is not simply protected from water, it is engineered against it every hour of every day. Welcome back to Nova Forge. The Dutch did not inherit safe land. They built it, they defended it, then they kept rebuilding it every time the sea found a weakness. And the sea always does. For centuries, the Netherlands sat in the path of North Sea storms and major rivers at the same time. Water could come from the coast, from the sky, or from inland. Salt water, river water, groundwater. All of it pushing into a place that was never supposed to be easy to live in, so the Dutch made water management part of government itself. Some of their oldest institutions were water boards. Not kings, not armies, water boards. That tells you everything. In most countries, flood protection is infrastructure. Here, it became civilization. And even that was not enough. In the night of January 31st into February 1st, 1953, a severe North Sea storm surge struck the southwest Netherlands. Dikes failed. Villages flooded in darkness. More than 1,800 people died. Entire communities were torn open before sunrise. Around 200,000 hectares were inundated. It was not just a natural disaster. It was a national verdict on weak defences. But here is the part that makes the story harder. The Dutch had been warned. Engineer Johan van Veen had spent years arguing that the old system was too vulnerable. Reports were written, risks were known. The danger was not invisible. It was ignored until water made the argument for him. After 1953, the country stopped thinking in local repairs. It started thinking like an engineer looking at the entire coastline, and the solution sounded insane. Do not just build higher everywhere. Shorten the sea. That idea had already produced one of the boldest structures in Europe, the Afsluitdijk, a 32-kilometre barrier completed in 1932, built largely by hand, cutting off the Zuiderzee from the North Sea. On one side, salt water. On the other, a calm inland lake that would become the IJsselmeer. That single line changed the map. It reduced the exposed coastline, improved safety and created the conditions to reclaim land from water. Not a neighbourhood, not a harbour. Land on the scale of provinces. This is where the Netherlands stopped sounding like a country and start sounding like an experiment. They would ring off sections of shallow water with dikes and then pump them dry. First, the water drops. Then the mud appears, then roads, then farms, then towns. The seabed becomes real estate. Much of Flevoland came from that logic, an entire province built on former water. Soil that had spent thousands of years underwater was turned into farmland and cities by pumps, planning, and patience. But drained land has a nasty habit. It sinks. When you remove water from peat and clay, the ground compresses. The victory creates a new problem, so Dutch engineering became a moving target. Pump too little and water rises. Pump too much and the land settles lower. Safety here is not a wall, it is balance. Then came the delta works, not one barrier, a system. Dams, sluices, locks, dikes, storm surge barriers, reinforced shorelines, controlled water routes. The goal was simple to say and brutal to execute. Reduce flood risk so dramatically that a disaster like 1953 would never again sweep through sleeping towns. But the Dutch ran into another problem. If you close every sea inlet with solid dams, you also destroy tidal ecosystems and disrupt shipping. Safety was not the only requirement. The country still needed estuaries to breathe and ports to function, so they built something more difficult. The Eastern Scheldt Barrier is the perfect example. 9 kilometres long, 65 giant piers, 62 steel gates between them. In normal conditions, the gates stay open, allowing tides to move in and out. During dangerous storm surges, they close. That compromise cost more. It also saved an estuary. And that is the Dutch pattern again and again. Not the easiest answer, but the one that keeps the country alive without freezing it into concrete. Then there is Rotterdam. This is where the problem becomes almost absurd. Europe's busiest port connects directly to the sea. You cannot simply wall it off forever. The ships must pass. Trade must move. But when a storm surge comes, The opening becomes a weapon pointed inland, so the Dutch built the Maeslantkering, 2 enormous floating gates, each 210 meters wide. Under normal conditions, they sit open, out of the way. When forecasts show water near Rotterdam rising above the trigger level, the system prepares to close automatically. The dry docks flood. The gates float out. They swing inward on 10-meter ball-and-socket joints weighing 680 tons. Then, the gates fill with water and sink into place. No drama on the street above, no crowds pushing buttons, just a machine deciding that the sea does not get in today. And still, even that is not the whole story, because modern Dutch flood defence is no longer just about keeping water out. Sometimes the smarter move is letting water in, but only where you choose. That is the logic behind Room for the River. At around 30 locations, the Netherlands moved dikes farther inland, lowered floodplains and dug side channels so rivers could spread safely during high water. Think about what that means. After centuries of squeezing water tighter and tighter, the country deliberately gave some space back. Not surrender, control. The same philosophy appears on the coast with the sand motor. In 2011, the Dutch placed 21.5 million cubic meters of sand in one huge artificial peninsula. Then they let wind, waves and currents distribute it naturally over years. Instead of fighting erosion point by point, they fed the coastline in advance and let nature do the transport work for free. That is the deeper genius here. The Netherlands did not survive by building one giant wall and calling the problem solved. It built layers. Dunes absorb force, dikes hold lines, pumps manage levels, barriers close when needed. Rivers get space, sand rebuilds beaches. Old structures like the Afsluitdijk are upgraded again, now reinforced for future extremes with new armour, new sluices and new pumps. Because the Dutch understand something most countries learn too late. Flood defence is not a project. It is maintenance against a patient enemy. The sea does not care how impressive your last mega-project was. It only cares about your weakest point, your oldest gate, your lowest dike, your slowest response, your most complacent decade. So the Netherlands keeps adapting. That is why the country exists in a place where it should keep failing. Not because the water got kinder. Not because storms stopped. Not because geography changed its mind. The Netherlands is still low. The North Sea is still there. The rivers still arrive. The ground still settles. The danger is still permanent. The difference is that the Dutch built a national system strong enough, flexible enough, and smart enough to live with all of it. They did not defeat water once. They keep doing it. Every hour, every forecast, every pump cycle, every tide gate, every reinforced slope, every widened floodplain, every automated closure. An entire country staying dry is not a fact of nature. It is an active decision. And one day, when the sea rises higher again, the Dutch will do what they have done for centuries. They will redesign the impossible, because in the Netherlands, survival was never found. It was built.